You know, when we extend the salam, we pray for each other. So we need to answer with a lot of vigor so that we get the tremendous reward attributed to it. I will say the salam again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much. That's better. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. All praises are due to Allah, Lord of the world, the most beneficent, the most merciful. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Guide us onto the right path, the path of those who have earned your favors, and not of those who earn your anger, nor of those who go astray. Amen. We are gathered in the conference hall of the National Mosque to commemorate the World Hijab Day. The World Hijab Day is celebrated every 1st of February to create awareness around the significance of the hijab, to make women from different cultures and religion to adorn themselves with the hijab on that day. This year's celebration started on Friday with a press conference at Fuad Lababaji Islamic Academy. There was a hijab awareness campaign yesterday at the Millennium Park, where sisters attracted a lot of women, non-Muslim women from diverse culture and religion to don themselves with the hijab. And they actually did. It was a wonderful experience yesterday. Today is the high point of the event. We are going to take lectures on this significant day. But before we do that, I crave your indulgence, so please permit me to introduce very important personalities to the high table. We are all important as we are seated here. I would like to first call on one of our daughters to come and give us the recitation from the opening dua, from the opening Quran, the opening dua and recitation from the glorious Quran. I want to call on Nadia Yarima.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت جعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا الحمد لله رب العالمين قيوم السماوات والأرضين الذي أنزل القرآن بلسان عربي مبين على خير خلقه وأفضل رسله محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يؤمنون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فكلي واشربي وقري عينا فإما ترين من البشر أحدا فقولي إني نذرت للرحمن صوما فلن أكلم اليوم إنسيا فأتت به قومها تحمله قالوا يا مريم لقد جئت شيئا فريا يا أخت هارون ما كان أبوك امرأ سوء وما كانت أمك بغيا فأشار أوصاني بالصلاة والزكاة ما دمت حيا وبرا بوالدتي ولم يجعلني جبارا شقيا والسلام علي يوم ولدت ويوم أموت ويوم أبعث حيا ذلك عيسى ابن مريم قول الحق فيه يمترون ما كان لله أن يتخذ ولد سبحانه إذا قضى أمرا فإنما يقول له كن فيكون إن الله ربي وربكم فاعبدوه هذا صراط مستقيم.
At-Takbir. May Allah increase you in knowledge. Now, if you have the program with you, the first agenda is opening remark by Hijab Namtari, Director, Great Heights Academy, who is also representing the coalition. Sister Sedina.
All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the world. May His peace and blessings be upon our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his household, his companions, and all those who follow his path till the last day. Special guests of honor, Ajia Amina Namadisango, our elders on the high table, our guest speaker, Dr. Hajara Umar Suleiman, other dignitaries here present, officials of all Muslim women organizations, students and sisters in Islam. I salute you with the best of salutations. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. February 1st of every year is marked World Hijab Day, an annual event founded by Nazma Khan in 2012 to encourage women of all religious backgrounds to have a feel of the hijab. It is a day when sisters all over the world gather to celebrate and remind each other about the noble injunction of hijab. As with previous years, Coalition of Nigerian Muslim Women in Abuja have had days of activities marking the event. Today's lecture is one of such. I feel highly honored to be given the responsibility of welcoming guests at this auspicious occasion. It is therefore with great pleasure that I welcome you all to this year's World Hijab Day lecture. Distinguished guests, although my task is basically to welcome you, permit me to make a few comments. The contemporary society perceives a woman in hijab as backward and not up to date and above all oppressed. This notion has continued to militate against the observers of the hijab. It is either they are resisted or they are assaulted. Some remain steadfast while others try to go around it. Programs such as these are aimed at bringing to the fore the significance, the benefits, the challenges, and most importantly, the reminder that hijab is an obligation by Allah to all believing women. Globally, this phenomenon has continued without ease for Muslim girls and women. In the last few months, there have been incidences of Muslim pupils and students in educational institutions being prevented entry into their schools only because they choose to wear the hijab. We will recall that 2018 was memorable as the prohibition of head covering in the Nigerian law school led to the prevention of Firdaus Amasa from being called to the bar. Firdaus, who remains a symbol of resilience and doggedness, was finally called to the bar. You will agree with me that standing for one's rights in a responsible manner can never be wrong. We acknowledge our sisters in various professions who insist on wearing their hijab. We also acknowledge our role models like our sister and mother, Hajia Amina Namadisambu, who will continue to be a reference point as someone whose position was never an excuse or a reason to compromise her hijab, as many did and continue to do. We pray to Allah to give our Muslim girls and women the iman and courage to remain steadfast on His path. While we are glad about these achievements, we know there is still work to be done, more awareness to be created, and stereotypes to be overcome. The theme of this year's Hijab Day is Free in Hijab, a thought-provoking theme. As Muslims, we know that the hijab uplifts the woman and gives her a feeling of inner peace and protection. This feeling is only known to the users of hijab. We therefore urge the users to utilize the Islamic identity the hijab grants in promoting modesty to better the society. The Coalition of Nigerian Muslim Women therefore call on all hijabis to remain steadfast in their obedience to Allah's command. To the general public, institutions, and those in authority, we would like you to note that the hijab is not an obstruction and therefore does not hinder a woman's abilities or potentials. The hijab should be viewed with respect. After all, it is a God-given right, just like the air we breathe, and should be free for all. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, with us today is an icon of a successful hijabi, Dr. Hajara Umar Suleiman, an Associate Professor of Obstetrics and Gynecology, ABU Teaching Hospital, Zaria. She will be talking to us on hijab, the gift of the modern woman. I pray that the speaker and the listeners benefit greatly from this event. I ask Allah to help us understand and apply the good that will be said. Once again, I warmly welcome everyone. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaba bikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. That was Hajia Prime Namtari, who has represented the coalition of Muslim women in Nigeria at Takbir. Yes, we are getting to the high point of the event. Our sister is going to project her lecture, and I can see a lot of us sitting at the extreme corner of the hall. You may not actually view the program. Woman like us, she's a scholar she's a student of Islamic Studies and Tafis. She is a housewife. She is a medical doctor. She belongs to a professional association. She is the immediate past secretary of Medical Women Association of Nigeria, Kaduna branch. She is the National Amira Islamic Medical Association of Nigeria, IMAN. She is an infertility specialist. She is a laparoscopic surgeon. She is an associate professor of gynecology. She is a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist. She has adorned herself with a hijab for over 30 years. She is a successful Muslim woman, free in hijab. Today, my beloved sisters, she is going to talk to us on the topic, Hijab, the gift of a modern woman. May I introduce to you Dr. Hajaratu Umar Suleiman from ABU Teaching Hospital at Takbir.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي Amma ba'd, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, my dear sisters in Islam. It's a privilege for me to sit in front of a distinguished audience like you to give this talk on the gift of hijab, the gift of the modern woman. And this event has been organized to commemorate the World Hijab Day by the Coalition of Nigerian Muslim Women. Inshallah, we'll be going through the following outline during the course of the presentation. I'll talk about the position of hijab in Islam and the challenges the Muslim woman faces today in the modern world, and why hijab is regarded as a gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'll mention some Muslimah role models that we have. And I'll talk a little bit about myself, and I'll conclude inshallah and give some recommendations. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Islam is a religion of modesty, and as a Muslimah, it is expected that we dress modestly whenever we leave our houses, and especially when you are also in the presence of those that are not your muharram, even if it is within your home. In Surah Al-Ahzab, ayah 59, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu kulli azwajika wa banatika wa nisa'il mu'minina yudnina alayhinna min jalabibihin. Dhalika adna an yu'rafna fala yu'zayn wa kana Allahu ghafurar rahima. Sadaqallahu al-azim. O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the believing women to draw their veil all over their bodies. This is better for them, that they should be known as free and respectable women, and they should not be molested. Allah is the most forgiving, the most merciful. In Surah Al-A'raf, ayah 26, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also went further to say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Ya bani Adama, qad anzalna alaykum libasan yuwari sawatikum wa rishan wa libasu taqwa dhalika khair dhalika min ayati llahi la'allahum yadhakkarun. O children of Adam, indeed, we have sent down to you a garment which covers your shame and also provides protection and adornment. But the finest of all is the garment of piety. This is one of the signs of Allah, so that you may take heed. Most of us are also very conversant with the 40 hadith collections of An-Nawawi. In Hadith 6, the tail part of that particular hadith, it is said that وَإِنَّ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُدْغَةً إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ وَإِذَا فَسَدَتْ فَسَدَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ أَلَا وَهِيَ الْقَلْبُ. Verily in the body is the piece of flesh, which if it is upright, the entire body is upright, and if it is corrupt, then the entire body is corrupt, and no doubt this is the heart. And this hadith is said to be muttafaqun alayhi, which means it has the highest grade of authenticity. What is expected of us as Muslim women? We're expected to cover all parts of our body except the face and the hands. That's from the wrist to the fingers. The dress must not be tight. That means it shouldn't expose the curves of our body. It should not be transparent or flashy. It should not look like the dress of non-Muslims or the dress of men. Then it should generally look decent and modest. And there are so many other qualities that are added by other scholars. From this picture, you will know which one is the correct hijab. As a Muslimah living in the 21st century, what are the challenges that we face? In the world at large today, we know that the concepts and the mindset and the norms and values that are propagated now is that of secularism, which is generally a very non-religious society, where atheism, that's the fact that you are not conscious of God, is what is propagated. People even go to the extent of worshipping shaitan. The norm now and the culture is that of unlimited freedom, and one of which is manifested by the dress in which we appear. The culture of nakedness is propagated. In fact, there's this saying that if you have it, flaunt it. So you find people dressing such that their intention is to attract whoever sees them outside. The issue of self-desire is also promoted. Whereas in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Afara'ayta man tafaza ilahahu hawahu. Have you seen those who take for worship as gods their own desires? And we know that in this present world, you are told to do whatever you like and feel free to do anything that comes to your mind. What about the relationships we have today? Presently, you have things called dating. Previously, we used to say, okay, somebody has a boyfriend or a girlfriend. But when you talk about somebody dating another person, you are talking about the person actually sleeping with that person. Then you talk about homosexuality. It's so common now. Remember, this is one of the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed the whole of a whole nation. When I was in medical school, when you talk about homosexuality, it is said to be a psychosexual disorder. What it means is that a person that has psychiatric problem is the one that manifests features of homosexuality or lesbianism. But today in the current world, it is defined as sexual preference. If I prefer to be a homosexual, that is my business. That is what I want to do, and you can go ahead. And you are accepted in the society. If you want to be a lesbian, go ahead. Because of that concept of unlimited freedom, as we said. People now go to the level of marrying animals and having sexual relationship with them because you feel that is what you want to do, and you can actually go ahead and do it. Now, you have the marriage institution being destroyed. You have concepts coming up like single parenting, baby mama. Baby mama means a woman that is going out to somebody and has a child for that person, and that is the status she has. She's just the mother of his child. Then you have people having prenuptial agreements now. They say it is a prenup agreement. What does that mean? It is just a kind of agreement where people in such relationships that they are actually afraid of full commitment, and they want to give themselves a window of opportunity to move out of that relationship whenever they want. You have people now living together. In fact, some people even celebrate when their boyfriend tells them to come and live with them in their house. They feel at least I've gone a step further than other women. That is the kind of world in which we live in today. In terms of worship, the Muslimah is faced with the fact that she has insufficient knowledge of both the ibadah as well as mu'amala. Many of us do not understand that knowledge is the same, whether religious or otherwise. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is reported to have said, "Talab al-ilm faridatan ala kulli muslimin, and talab al-ilm walau bis-sin." That we should seek for knowledge. Seeking for knowledge is compulsory on us, whether you are a Muslim, female or a male. And seeking for knowledge does not necessarily mean that of religious knowledge, but even if it takes you to China, which means that all forms of knowledge are compulsory. Remember, during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told one of his companions, I think it's Zayd bin Thabit, to go and learn the language of the Jews, because that is important at that time. It is important for them at that time to understand what the Jews were saying. So the concept of Western, if you can see, I put it in bracket. The Western knowledge is very important. Religious knowledge is important at the beginning, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Ta'rifuna qabli an ta'buduni, fa in lam ta'rifuna fa kayfa ta'buduni." How will you know Allah? How will you worship Allah if you don't even know what the rules and regulations of your prayer is? Fasting, zakat, hajj. You need to know what is compulsory, what is mustahab, what is mubah, and so on, what is makruh. You need to know that about the basic worship as a Muslim. Then, in terms of your everyday life, you need to also have that knowledge to be able to live in any place you find yourself. But what you find out is in our present generation of Muslims is that they are they are not dedicated. They don't even put in their best in terms of reading, studying. Wherever they work in a particular place, they are so nonchalant, and they are not committed to whatever work they do. In our society today, you have this obsession to own wealth. People actually worship wealth, and people amass wealth that is actually meant for the public. And this is praised amongst our people. And again, we have deficiency of Muslims in many very different endeavors in the field of medicine. The World Health Organization actually said that for the actual proportion of a doctor to patient ratio should be 1 to 600. But now we have 1 to 30,000, 1 doctor to 30,000 patients. So we are even deficient. But how many of us in the medical profession are even Muslims in the first place? Then the armed forces, the hospitality industry, how many hotels, how many guest houses do we have that are owned and run by Muslims? The entrepreneurship concept, how many Muslims are owners of businesses? So you see, we have a lot of deficiencies in these areas. In terms of marriage, the challenges we face are very enormous. There's a lot of unrealistic expectations about marriage. Marriage itself is just seen as a culture and as a norm. Maybe, okay, I've reached the age of marriage, I should get married. People don't view it as an ibadah. Much time is spent on the wedding ceremony, not on the marriage itself. You find out the dress of the bride may come from the UK, her handbag will come from the US, her shoe will come from Dubai, and so on. But what happens after everybody leaves that ceremony and goes home? When the two people that are married now sit together, nobody cares about what happens much later. They can live together for 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. Nobody tells them that marriage is not just a bed of roses. There are challenges that will come up, and how to cope with those challenges. That is why you find out that immediately everybody leaves, within the first year, there's a very high rate of intolerance. They don't even respect each other. They don't even know the rights and responsibilities of each other, the spouses that get married. And this actually has led to the high rate of divorce we have in our society. In terms of parenting, parenting skills are very poor these days. We have the issue of over-parenting and poor parenting. As soon as a child starts walking, the first thing you do is to send the child to either a crèche, pre-nursery, nursery. You know, the child is even tired before it enters primary 1. Then over-parenting. Many of us are so overprotective of our children. I don't want my child to suffer the way I suffered when I was young. And you end up pampering that child such that by the time the child is 35 years old, that child is still dependent on you as a parent. Children, these kind of children are brought up by housemates, and many of them do not even have that caring attitude to their parents, their brothers, or anybody else. And most importantly, they don't even have the consciousness of Allah in them. There are so many other issues that face the Muslimah in the modern society. The issue of improper dressing. Because of the norm and the trend, some people just go with the flow and continue dressing the way they feel the society expects them to dress. Some people do not wear hijab, not because they don't want to, but because of the pressure, either from their workplace or from their school or from the place, the environment in which they find themselves. They may not be able to put on the hijab. And some people practice what we call partial hijab. Some people call it just covered. You have a scarf on your head. Sometimes your earrings are showing, your neck is showing, and the shape of your body is actually seen. So that is also seen amongst our Muslims. Sometimes we deliberately misinterpret the injunctions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of the environment in which we are and the people that are asking the question. I was once asked by somebody that I thought this hijab is meant for people that lived in Arabia those days because of the dust that was in the environment and because they were living in a desert. So that was why they told them to be covering themselves. So why are you wearing hijab in this particular time now? And you know, some people will say, yes, it's true. It's okay. I don't really need to wear hijab now since we are not in the desert and we are not in 14th century Arabia. So some people try to deliberately misinterpret such injunctions because they want to please whoever is asking that question, because they are put on the defensive. The issue of drug abuse has become very common. In fact, I heard one of the lectures that a brother was giving a lecture to a group of Muslim sisters, and he talked about drug abuse. And at the end of that lecture, they felt maybe he was going to ask their handbags to be checked. So most of them put the drugs under the table, such that by the time the lecture finished, the whole hall was filled with drugs, in terms of cough syrup, all sorts of things that were there. These are Muslim sisters in hijab. Some people believe that it is a way of coping with marital and societal stress. Some people believe that instead of going to seek for the correct way of solving your problems, you can just take that cough syrup and make you to forget your problem. It is very common. And it is more alarming that it is common amongst Muslim women. Then the issue of shisha. I hope you know shisha is even more dangerous than the cigarette. It is equally harmful to your body. Now you have different kinds of flavors of shisha. There's the strawberry, the banana, and people even take it to be a status marker. It is one of the things that actually destroys you, and as a Muslim, you're not expected to use your hand to destroy yourself. The issue of the social media. I do not know whether to call it a blessing or a curse for our generation. It has a lot of advantages, quite all right. You can actually do a lot of courses online. You can learn a lot about your religion online and so forth, but most of us spend more than 70% of our time on WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and the rest. This has actually led to a lot of broken homes, failed marriages, premarital and even extramarital affairs. Because a woman in her room, in her husband's room, in her own house, can actually be having a relationship with somebody outside because of the internet. So it has its own good side and the bad side. Why do I call hijab the gift of Allah to us? This is because if you look at the advantages of dressing decently, one, you'll be obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Rasul, and you'll be getting rewards for it. And the more rewards you get, the heavier your scale will be on the day of judgment, and the better your chances are of entering Jannah. So you have a chance of entering Jannah just by wearing the hijab. It also promotes decency in the society and modesty in the society. Imagine that if you go out of this hall now, the whole of Abuja, you see women decently dressed. You feel happy. The society will be looked at as a decent society. In fact, there's a saying that when you want to know about the morality of a society, just look at its women. If you look at the women of a society, you can actually define that society. So imagine having a society that you have women that are modestly dressed. You feel very happy. Most of us that have gone to Hajj or Umrah, if you walk in the environment, how do you feel? You feel some peace and serenity. At least people are trying and making effort to cover themselves, not just exposing their body unnecessarily. Then it gives you respect, and you will not just be seen as an object of pleasure. Because women normally in the Western world and people that want to become westernized, immediately you are seen, the first thing they judge is the size of your bust, the size of your hips, how is your shape and all that. Nobody looks at you as an intellectual human being. But if you are modest and you are covered, what the person was trying to see, he wants to see the size of your bust or your hips and he doesn't see it. The next thing he will be forced to do is, okay, sorry, these places are covered, so let me look at this person. Who is she? And who is this person standing in front of me? He is forced to look at you as a human being and respect you and talk to you based on the fact that he thinks this person is an intelligent person, and your interaction will be based on that, not based on the fact that he's thinking of how he's going to get you into his bed the next minute. The other thing is that it commands respect and it gives you dignity, and it also protects you from fitna, which includes rape, sexual harassment, and the likes. After the Industrial Revolution in the West, women were made to leave their homes and come out into the public and now engage in all kinds of endeavors. But it is only Islam that has a role that is clearly defined for the woman. In such societies, even in other religions, there has never been a place where the role of the woman is very much clearly defined. What are her rights? What are her responsibilities? How is she supposed to be protected apart from that of Islam? It is clearly written as a child, what are your responsibilities? What role you have in Islam? As a mother, what you are supposed to do? And as a wife. Islam gives women the highest freedom to attain any spiritual height she wants to attain. If you remember, if a man commits zina and a woman commits zina, the punishment is the same. If a woman prays 5 times daily and a man prays 5 times daily, the reward is the same. So in terms of spiritual height, the woman is equal to the man. In terms of engaging in any endeavor, a woman is encouraged to go to the peak of any endeavor she wants to engage in and even excel in that particular endeavor, be it health, education, entrepreneurship, or even the home front. The woman is at liberty to use her wealth the way she likes if she earns any wealth, because the obligation of her own welfare itself is put on either her father, her husband, or her brothers. And however, she is encouraged to contribute to the family, and this is rewarded written for her as sadaqah. In order to attain all these liberties that we mentioned, she must maintain the hijab of both appearance and that of interaction with others, especially that of the opposite sex. As we mentioned, وَلِبَاسُ التَّقْوَى ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ. The hijab of the heart is more important than that physical covering, because that is what actually defines you as a Muslim. The hijab of the heart actually makes you to be conscious of Allah. At any time, in all your thoughts, in any action you are doing, you remember Allah, and that is what is more important than just the physical covering. So a woman that has the hijab of the heart will appreciate Allah for making her a Muslimah in the first place, because it is not everybody that is privileged to be a Muslim. Remember, in the whole world now we have more than 8 billion people, and Muslims are less than 2 billion. And so we are fortunate to even belong to the fold of Islam in the first place. So as a person that has the hijab of the heart, you will appreciate Allah for making you a Muslimah and giving you a chance to walk towards Jannah. And she also knows that she does not have unlimited freedom. You cannot do as you please in terms of the way you dress. You cannot do as you please in terms of having relationship with others. You know there are rules and regulations, and there are hudud of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which must be obeyed. And you can have halal relationships. You can get married and enjoy your married life, not engaging in other haram relationships. And a woman that has the hijab of the heart will not be ashamed of wearing her hijab in public. She knows that she is obeying Allah, and that is the injunction of Islam, that when she's going out, she should cover herself so that she will not just expose her body for everybody to see. A woman that has the hijab of the heart also knows that she needs to continuously seek knowledge of Islam. You have to know Allah before you worship Him. So all the rules and regulations governing the worship of Allah is paramount for her to know. And also, she will seek for any knowledge she knows that is going to be beneficial to her for her stay in this world. A Muslim woman that wears the hijab also knows that marriage is an ibadah. It is not just a norm or a culture. And she views it as such and actually works towards Jannah in her marriage. Everything she does within her marriage is to make sure that she is to make sure that she attains Jannah, and she will not do anything that is haram or kufr because she just wants to attain, she wants to be in her married home. Then she tries to bring up her children as much as possible to be good Muslims and to be God conscious. And this is somebody that puts her trust in Allah and does not depend on drugs to solve her problems. Drugs will never solve your problems. You only have that temporary relief, which is even an euphoria. It is not realistic. You are going to come back to the reality of your problem, and you are still going to face those problems. So your best bet is to put your trust in Allah and look for practical solutions to your problems of your marriage or any stress you have in your society instead of taking drugs. And a Muslim woman will not waste her time in the social media. She can use it productively. We've done a lot of online Islamic courses. You can do a lot of online Arabic courses. You can learn a lot of things online, but please don't waste it on things that you know that are haram. A Muslimah also that is in hijab knows that she can lend her voice to the improvement of her society at large. Although her primary role is to take care of the home front, which she can do by being a good wife and a good mother, but one thing she can do is to instill very good values to her children. When she does that, those children will grow up and they will be the ones to change the world. The mother is said to be the first school of any child. And if you educate a woman, you've educated the nation, because she instills those knowledge to her children, who are actually our leaders of tomorrow. A Muslim woman knows that she can collaborate and partner with any group that has the interests of the society as their goal. As a Muslimah living in Nigeria, what does the Nigerian Constitution say about you wearing hijab? The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, actually, in that of 1999, as amended, in Section 38 states that every person shall be entitled to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, and to manifest and propagate his religion or belief in terms of worship, teaching, practice, and observance. So as a Muslimah in Nigeria, you have the legal backing and the constitutional backing to practice your hijab. If you like, wear hijab, niqab, socks, gloves, you can do that. Just as somebody can come out confidently with all parts of her body exposed, you also have the right to wear hijab the way you please, based on the Nigerian Constitution. I have some role models, Muslimah role models, both in history and in our current times. One of which is Nana Asya alayha salam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Holy Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وضرب الله مثلا للذين آمنوا امرأة فرعون إذ قالت رب ابن لي عندك بيتا في الجنة ونجني من فرعون وعمله ونجني من القوم الظالمين. صدق الله العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, He has said for the believers the parable, an example, the parable of the wife of Pharaoh when she prayed, my Lord, build for me a house with you in paradise and deliver me from Pharaoh and his misdeeds and deliver me from the iniquitous people. Remember, Pharaoh was one of the worst tyrants that the human history has ever seen. And his wife was somebody that had wealth, she had prestige, and she had the status of being the wife of the greatest person in the world at that time. But what did she do? She chose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and decided to worship Allah instead of following the dictates of Fir'aun. And it was during the time he was actually punishing her that she prayed, she said this prayer that Allah should build for her a house in Jannah. So she did not look at her wealth or her status, but she chose the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is possible for any of us too. No matter your level of your status and whatever attainment you've had, if you want to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is still possible for you to worship Allah. And remember, she was the one that brought up Musa alayhi salam, who is one of the greatest prophets of Islam. The other Muslimah role model we have is Maryam, Nana Maryam alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Tahrim, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, wa Maryam ibnata Imran allati ahsanat farjaha fanafakhna fihi min ruhina wa saddaqat bi kalimati rabbiha wa kutubihi wa kanat min al-qanitin. Sadaqallahu al-azim. Allah has also set forth the parable of Mary, the daughter of Imran, who guided her chastity and into whom we breathed our spirit, and who testified to the words of her Lord and his books, and she's amongst the obedient. Remember, the name Maryam itself in her own language means the person that worships Allah a lot. She was an avid worshipper of Allah. In the human history up till date, she's one of the most pious women that has ever been created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember, one of the surahs of the Quran was named after Nana Maryam alayhi salam. She is an epitome of chastity. And in other religions, when people want to portray who she is, remember, they always portray her with what? Hijab. Even in their own religion, they know that you cannot portray somebody that you are trying to say is a God-fearing person without you showing that that person is modestly dressed. So you can see the irony. So she, anytime they even try to draw or put a picture of her, they always put her in hijab, because that is the significance and that is the status marker of somebody that is conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember, she's also the mother of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, who is one of the greatest prophets of Islam. Remember Nana Khadija bint Khuwaylid radiallahu anha? She was a rich businesswoman, she was a pious and noble woman, and she was a caring and loving wife to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was the mother of his 6 children. And remember, she also used her wealth for the sake of Islam. So you can engage in entrepreneurship, be a CEO of your own, make money, help your family, and help Islam by using that wealth. Nana Fatima radiallahu anha bint Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was the wife of his cousin Ali bin Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. She was a humble lady. She also engaged in a lot of ibadah, and she did a lot of her house chores herself out of humility. Nana Aisha radiallahu anha. She was an excellent wife and a companion to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was a scholar, and she was said to be the 6th highest narrator of hadiths in the history of Islam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself said we should learn half of our religion from her. And she also gave us a lot of hadith that showed us the insight of how the home is run in terms of many issues regarding the home. Then coming back home now, we also have our own role models, and one of whom is Nana Asma bint Uthman bin Fodio. Remember, she was also a daughter of one of the reformers of Islam in Nigeria, in the West African region. She was a scholar, she was a mother, she was also a writer. And for me, there may be so many other people, but I have my own role models that I consider to be role models in Nigeria. And alhamdulillah, it is a privilege for me to meet Her Excellency Haji Amina Namadi Sambo, the wife of the former Vice President of Nigeria. I've never met her before. This is my first time of seeing her. And I have always looked at her, and I feel so proud to be associated with her and to know that somebody that has attained such a height in terms of status and position still maintained her Islamic identity. The other person that I feel is another role model for us is Maryam Uthman, Hajia Maryam Uthman, the Amira of Women in Da'wah. She's somebody that is very close to my heart. I love her very much, and anytime I see her moving Islam forward and moving the cause of women and engaging in Da'wah. The other person that is close to me that I know very well is the wife of the governor of Niger State, Dr. Amina Abubakar Sani Bello. She's a very close friend of mine, and you know she's also a consultant gynecologist. Anytime you see her, she also portrays Islam, and we also do a lot of tahfiz together with her up till now. Within the time of her being the wife of the governor, she has memorized almost 10 izus of the Quran. And another person that I consider to be one of my role models again is Hajara Adiola. I call her my namesake. She is the MD and CEO of Lotus Capital Halal Investments. She's one of the people that brought forth Islamic banking to the fore, and halal investments, how you can take loans that does not have interests and so on. The other person that is also very close to my heart is Hajia Hawa Baba Ahmed. She was one of the few people that you see when I was younger, I look up to watch NTA because I see her in hijab and she tried to portray the epitome of Islam. That was very rare at that time because so many other newscasters then will not and do not portray Islam, but she did at that particular time. And of recent, we have Hajia Fatima Abbas Hassan. She was my classmate and we're classmates in Fuad Nababidi when we were doing tahfiz of the Quran some years ago. And she too tries to portray that picture of a Muslim woman in their profession. Hajia Aisha Umar Bello is one of my very close friends and my sister. She worked in the National Assembly, she's presently retired, and she also portrays sisterhood in Islam. Hajia Rahman Musa Sani also is of the Women in Dawah, and so many, and I also met her first in Fuad Nababidi Islamic Academy. They were ahead of us in the class, but I've always admired her because at any time I see her, I always see her trying to propagate Islam in both her appearance and in her actions. Now, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. Alhamdulillah, whatever I have achieved is through the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not necessarily through my efforts. I started using hijab when I was 18 years old. That was when I was in my A-levels, and Alhamdulillah, I've continued till date. I'm presently a medical doctor. I'm a consultant obstetrician gynecologist. I'm an associate professor. I'm also a laparoscopic surgeon. I have a fellowship of both the West African and the National Colleges of Surgeons, as well as the International College of Surgeons. And presently, I am an examiner in that college. So I examine people that want to become consultants now. And I'm a student of knowledge, and I still study Hadith, Arabic, Fiqh, and Tahfiz. And I also engage in a lot of charity work as well as social work. That is me and my colleagues at work. You can see most of them are not Muslims, but these are the people I work with where in Zaria. This is me in the theater. You can see me doing surgeries in the theater. This is me in Sierra Leone. On the left side, I was in Sierra Leone. That was when I was given my certificate as a consultant gynecologist and a fellow of the West African College of Surgeons. That is me in South Africa. I went for an international conference of the International Federation of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. That is me in London. I went to the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine to see a friend. We're doing international world-class research that was done across more than 180 countries, and I'm one of the representatives in Nigeria. So that is the office there. That is me in central London. That is me in India, in front of the Taj Mahal. And I have a diploma in minimal access surgery. That's why I said I'm a laparoscopic surgeon, and that is where I was given the certificate as a minimal access surgeon in New Delhi, in India. That is me in Liverpool. I have a diploma in reproductive health from the Liverpool School of Hygiene, Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine in the UK, and that's me in the one of the schools in the Women's Hospital in Liverpool. That is me in Dubai. I went for an international conference there, International Federation of Gynecologists and Obstetricians last year in Dubai. That is me in Jordan. I went for an Islamic conference. That is International Federation of Islamic Medical Associations. That was the conference that was done in Jordan last year. That is me at the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea where the people of Lut were destroyed. That's the place there. This is me in Malaysia, with Her Excellency, the wife of the Governor of Niger State, Dr. Amina Abubakar Sani Bello. And that is me. I was in one of the Islamic hospitals there on the left. And this is me doing cancer work in Kaduna State. And this was our 30th biennial conference as the Medical Women's Association of Nigeria. As I said, I'm the immediate past Secretary General of the Medical Women's Association of Nigeria, Kaduna State branch. And that is me doing cancer work, doing cancer awareness in Kaduna State. That is me in the theater. We actually do a lot of free surgeries for women living with VVF. So this is one of the surgeries we did in Birnin Kebbi, where we had about 20 women that are poor. You know, they are mostly Muslim women that have VVF. We try to gather some money and do free VVF surgeries for them. So that I was in the theater to ensure that such patients have free surgeries. And that is my family. So in conclusion, being a Majuba does not prevent us from excelling in our various fields of endeavor. And as we can see, we have practical examples in Islamic history as well as in our everyday life and in our immediate environment. A Muslimah who has hijab of the heart will always be conscious of Allah and her accountability to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in terms of her thoughts and her actions, whether it's in her home, in her workplace, or in the wider society. A Muslimah has the right to practice her religion fully in Nigeria. She can fully participate in any process that leads to the betterment of her society. So my recommendations, therefore, include the fact that we should be the Mahajuba that dresses modestly. You should be the Mahajuba that is a good mother and a good wife. You should be the Mahajuba that is financially independent, and you should be the Mahajuba that cares for the less privileged and the downtrodden of the society. And you should be a Mahajuba by accepting the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the hijab itself is the best gift Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us in the 21st century. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Jannah if you put on the hijab, because the reward on your skill will multiply in million folds simply because you put on the hijab. And she also said to us, yes, you are free in hijab, but then your freedom is not unlimited. If you have the program with you, the next item is discussions. Before I introduce our discussants, I want to humbly welcome to this hall Hajia Amina Mansur Ali, the wife of the Honorable Minister of Defense. Sister, you're welcome, and thank you for making it today with us. Now, I'd like to call on the three sisters who will be discussing this paper. I'd like to invite Sister Aisha Yusuf from the Media Publishers. I would also like to invite on the high table Hajia Azizat Hassan, she's a public servant, and also Hajia Rafatu Abdul Hamid, the Faculty of Islamic Studies, University of Abuja. At you can see that all the sisters are Majubas and they are achievers, and putting on this hijab has actually not prevented them in attaining or achieving what they want to become. So,
الله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum, members of the high table, my sisters in Islam. I'm glad to be here again after 1 year. It's so good to know that we are always up and about when it comes to issues of the hijab. May Allah give us the reward for our efforts. The paper just presented is one of those papers one can see you just have nothing more to add. Honestly, our sister has said it all. And alhamdulillah, she had this personal touch to it. She was able to relate it to her own life. And in accordance with the theme of the global theme of the World Hijab Day for this year, Free in Hijab, she has told us how there are limitless opportunities for a woman in hijab, and the fact that hijab can never be a restraining factor, rather an enabler. Alhamdulillah. The best part in the lecture for me as a journalist, we like this thing about bullet points, you know, just enumerate the things and have people get the feel of it. It's always easier to absorb and get the message across rather than issuing long text. And alhamdulillah, with the bullet points, we can always refer to her lecture and get what we want at the tip of our fingers. One of the things I would like to suggest the coalition does is to please publish this paper as a booklet. It will be an aid to us and our children anytime we want to have a feel of how far you can go or how free we are as Muslim women in the hijab.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Aisha has said it all. I think this is, I've always been an advocate of a woman being our keynote speaker, because I think this is just the second time in the last 6 years that we've had a woman, and alhamdulillah, I think Dr. Hajara has done us proud. I proposed the content or the paper, the focus of the paper, and this is one of the few times I can surely and honestly say that the presenter has actually done real justice to our focus for the year, and for that I think we should give her another takbir. For me, I want to look at the paper from two perspectives. Dr. Hajara has mentioned hijab of the heart. I think that's one of the most important and key issues for us as women donning hijab. Because really Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, though when we adorn the hijab, yeah, we are obeying him, we are following his instructions, but the most important thing is, what do we do in the hijab? Are we hijabbed, if I may say so, body and soul? Because that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see and recognize and reward. With respect to sacrifice, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Ahzab mentioned that it is not the meat that we, sacrifice. It's not the animal or its blood that he is, he is seeing or he is concerned about. He is concerned about our piety in that action. So in all action, we as Muslims should be conscious of the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at our intention and the action we do or we take after that intention. You can't be wearing a hijab and be seen fighting or struggling over a position on the bus, or insulting people at the petrol station, or clapping and dancing with colleagues in the office, or being part of a corruption scam, or being a careless mother, or being an indolent person, just sitting down doing nothing and complaining all the time. You think you are a good Muslim. My sister, please, you need to reanalyze and, restructure your thoughts. Your heart is what Allah sees. Don't adorn the hijab and then be a negator of the hijab. The second aspect of our paper is the role models that she brought forth. From Sayyida Aisha, to Sayyida Khadija, to Sayyida Maryam, to Sayyida Asya, to our contemporary role models that she mentioned. They were all active mahjubas. You can't be a Muslim woman and be passive. You will let things pass without action, without any positive work or positive action. You have to be active as a positive, motivator of the community, of the ummah. Even if you are not working, even if you are not coming out of the house to be a public servant or a professional or a businesswoman, my sister, you need to be active in your house. You need to have something doing. You need to have something to keep you busy. You will be a more productive mother, you will be a more productive wife, and you will be a more productive teacher of your children and your community. So please, my call to Muslim women is that you really need to sit up. We have cases, because we all are doing da'wah. We have cases reported to us from hospitals in Abuja here of women going to give birth without a single tissue paper. They are just in the hospital to deliver, without napkin, without soap, without razor, and she says she doesn't have. 9 months, my sister. You were pregnant for 9 months, and you couldn't do anything to prepare yourself for the birth. You go to the hospital, and we are abused, insulted, and denigrated because of that. If you were even selling salt, my sister, you would have been able to buy pad, you would have been able to buy a napkin, you would have been able to buy soap that they will wash the child with. My call to us all is, please, let us look at the role models we have had since the beginning of Islam. Let us emulate them. Let us look at the role models we have now. They are not passive, they are active. Alhamdulillah.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Let me once again appreciate our sister, Dr. Hajara, for that wonderful presentation. I sincerely believe that she has done everything we expected in this hall. And I think I have seen the reason for her achievement. And of course, it is not far-fetched. You have seen how Dr. Hajara, despite the fact that she's a medical doctor, she quoted verses and chapters of the Quran. Please, can we say takbir for her? This is what we call Islamization of knowledge. We kept on emphasizing that Islam has never, and it will never distinguish between the so-called modern or spiritual knowledge. Islam emphasizes on education. And any education that will bring value, that will bring benefit to the society, that is the Islam. That is the knowledge that Islam canvas for, advocate for. And you can see how Hajara has excelled. We are very proud of you. May Allah bless you abundantly. I want to just look at other aspects. Our issues, especially when it comes to the issue of hijab. I have discovered that till today, some of us have still the misunderstanding or misconception about the putting of our veil. Alhamdulillah, Dr. Hajara has recited in one of her verses where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu, قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن ذلك أدنى أن يعرفن فلا يؤذين. In that verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, O Muhammad, O the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, say to your wives, قل لأزواجك وبناتك, and your children, وَنِسَاءِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. You see, and the believing women. Who are we, my sisters? We are believing women. Are we? Please, can I hear a yes? Alhamdulillah, we are all believing women. And he said, Allah says that we should cover our bosom, use our clothes to cover our bosom, because there are two importance for us. One is to prevent molestation. She has said so much about the molestation we have experienced in our society today, simply because we have deviated from the rule of Allah. And he said, and that will also recognize us. The using of hijab is for our benefit. It will make the people to respect us in the society, and they will recognize where they say, Haza mu'mina, Haza mu'mina. That is our name. Say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is what Allah called us. Can I hear takbir from our sisters, the believing women? We thank Allah for that quality He has given us, for that characteristics. But then what is the issue today in our society? We have to say, because this is a forum that will give us that opportunity to talk to each other on what our real issues. Today, there are some sisters that have two types of veils. If we are coming for gathering like this, we put on the hijab. When we are going for social occasion gathering, party, send off our offices, we pull on the hijab and we put the gele. Are we really, please let us begin to ask ourselves, are we really believing women? Say, according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we must never remove our veil. Wherever we are, the hijab is our identity. And I think this is an opportunity for us to really understand that verse, because Allah has described in that verse 3 categories of women, and we must belong to one. And if that is the case, hijab is an obligation. We also have seen today in our social media, every woman will put hijab. But when you come to Facebook, when you come to WhatsApp, you see the woman removing her veil. Please, I stand to be corrected in this gathering. We remove our veil and we expose our beauty. Why? Where do we have that reason to do that? We should begin to reflect, my sister, because we cannot come here and not correct our shortcomings. The essence of being here is to correct our shortcomings where we go wrong, perhaps due to ignorance. But this is not, there is no excuse for ignorance, my sisters in Islam. We know that some women are being oppressed. And sometimes I have some conversation with me. They say, no, even some of the women that put hijab, we see them stealing in the marketplace. They put it under the hijab. And so I don't have reason to, but let me put the gele. But is that a reason? How many women were not caught with that? The sister has told us the hijab should penetrate into our heart. When you have the hijab, you will not steal. And that is not a reason for it, because somebody has used the hijab to steal or to commit suicide. And you said, I will off my hijab. That is not a reason. According to many of us, they have never given us this opening. So we should be very careful in how we adorn ourselves. Be it in the social media, be it in the house. Sometimes in the house, you see we interact with so many men that are not even our muharrams, and we pull on the hijab. We have to segregate ourselves and take care of our obligations so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us abundantly. May Allah forgive our shortcomings, and may this gathering be beneficial to all of us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. So to round up our session, I would like to appeal to the young ladies in the crowd, especially the students, that a number of young hijabis are making news excellently well in universities. The latest one, a young medical doctor who is the best graduating student of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Musinat, has been making news since yesterday. Twice in a row at the University of Ilorin, hijab wearers were the best graduating students. The one of last year actually went away with 16 prizes. University of Ilorin, best graduating student of medicine. So I want to say that just like our sister Hijab has demonstrated, the sky is your limit. Hijab is not a hindrance, it's a great enabler. And to support what the sister just finished saying, there are some women, amazingly, I've been to 2 houses of Muslim friends who adorn the hijab wherever they go. But they will not accompany you right to your car without the hijab. Believe that they are at home. It doesn't make sense to me. You are supposed to be like that only within your house, and even then, in the presence of non-Muharrams, or rather, Muharram men who are your Muharrams. So when we consider the driver I came with, or the man who is your gardener, do you consider him a Muharram? That is why you don't care? I felt amazed, that you just come out like that because you feel you're at home. But otherwise, if it is an outing, they will adorn the hijab. So please, let us understand that the hijab is for all times, whether in your house or not, because the idea is that men should not have access to your private, and then in a woman's private every part of a woman is private, actually, except the face and the palm of the hands. So men who have no reason to see that must not see that. Incidentally, I will not go with just a short incident I encountered at the hospital. Recently. I was amazed when I was passing by a young lady who was in her abaya, black abaya. You know, but the amazing thing is she was breastfeeding a baby and she had brought out the breast outside. I saw two other young ladies sitting next to her. I was so shocked. I tried to call their attention and tell them, please tell her, it was so shocking to me. I cannot understand why anybody would breastfeed with the breast out, you know? So I couldn't get their attention before I was called into the doctor's consultation room. When I came out, I looked for them, they were all gone. But I thought a forum like this can be used to tell them that it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. How can you breastfeed with the breast out? Because the amazing thing is actually she was dressed up from the head down. Everything was covered, but except the breast. So it didn't make sense at all. I don't know where she likes that. I know that's the way white people tell you to breastfeed babies. Incidentally, yes, I've been to a child birth education class outside this country, and I remember being told that the best way to breastfeed a child is to bring it out. But when we are Muslims, and in Africa, I mean, even among non-Muslims in Africa, I have not seen anybody breastfeeding that way. So I was shocked to see it. So I hope those who have this belief will kindly do away with this. So, alhamdulillah. Okay, sorry. We've just been told that there is a need to translate what we discussed here briefly for the benefit of our sisters in Hausa. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Abin da aka faɗa a nan shi ke cewa ita wannan kasida da ‘yan gomu Dr. Hajara ta gabatar ta yi magana ne a kan cewa shi ya sanya hijabi ba abin da yake hanawa. Musulma tana samun fa'yanci da musulma take samu a cikin hijabi ta yi ilimi ta yi aiki da wasu abubuwa na rayuwa ba abin da hijabi yake takurawa sai ma dai ba da dama a yi fiye da haka. Da haka ita kanta misali ce idan aka ganta na ɗaya dai likita ce ita babban likita ma mai kula da haihuwar mata da harkar haihuwar mata da abubuwan da suka shafi goyon kuma amma ba abin da sanya hijabi ya hana ta fara sashi tana ɗaliba. Yanzu ta gama ta zama babban likita ba abin da ya hana ta muga kasashen da ta je duk taron da ta je tana sanye da hijabinta da tana son da ta sanar da mu cewa a sanya hijabi ba abin da mace take samu sai ƙarin daraja da ƙarin ilimi kuma da ƙarin yanci. To dama sai kasance taken wannan ranar sanya hijabi ta duniya ta bana ita ce yanci a cikin hijabi. To abubuwan da ta faɗa su da nuna mana cewa mace musulma ba abin da take samu a cikin hijabi sai yanci. Saboda haka muna fatan cewa matan musulmi za su taɓa tunanin akwai wani nauyi ko damuwa ko takurawa a sanya hijaba sai dai ma yanci da damar yin duk inda ya kamata mu je a wajen neman ilimi ko neman abu hannu. To a wurin tattaunawar da muka yi yar uwa Sista Aziza ta jaddada mana cewa abin da ya burge ta a wannan takarda shine cewa yadda aka ce akwai hijabin zuciya. Hijabin zuciya shine cewa ko da kana sanye da wannan hijabin na waje zuciyar kamata kasance musulma mu'mina duk abin da Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ya ce a guje shi ita wannan zuciya ta guje shi kada ki kasance wanda ki sanya wannan hijabi na fili to shi ke kuma ke ce yar hayaniya ke ce yar fara a kasuwa ke ce yar wasa da maza a wurin aiki duk wata ne hayaniya da bata kamata ba ya kamata in kina da hijabi waje zuciyar ki ma ya zama to tana da hijabi ita kuma Sister Rafatu ita kuma abin da ya burge ta a wannan takarda shine cewa akwai ita cewa ayar da Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ya sauko mana cewa matan su su sanya hijabi cewa ya bayan matan manzon Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam da yayansa sai kuma matan mu'mini kuma mu da mutum ne matan mu'mini saboda haka me yasa misali mace za ta sanya babban hijabi da zo irin wannan taron amma idan aka ce ko biki ko suna ko wanda sai kawai ta sanya karamin gani saboda tana ganin cewa ta san ta koye kyawun da Allah ya bata ko kuma kyan abin da ta saka. So abin da take nufi shi in dai har mun ce mun yadda mu ne matan mu ne, to mu tsaya da abin da Allah subhanahu wataala ya ce mu sanya hijabi mu rufe jikin mu yadda ya kamata. Allah ya ba mu ikon ko gele ne akwai mai kyau wanda ba a do gaskiya ne, kuma ta ce ko an yi da shawara a sanya yana ya kamata akwai wanda yake yana da girma kuma yana da nauyin da ba zai nuna abin da ake ci ba, to ana iya sanya shi. Amma a ɗauki ɗan ƙaramin yadda ana takama biki aka zo ko suna ko wani taro, to shi ne kamar ya bambanta da abin da Allah ya ce da fassara da description da fassara da Allah ya bada cewa mu matan mu'mine ne ya kamata mu sutura irin ta matan manzon Allah da ƴaƴan shi. Allah ya samu dace.
Thank you very much. We have had all from our discussant,
our sisters to give us their thoughts on this. And I'd like to start by inviting the former Minister of Women Affairs, Hajia Salama to Suleiman, to give us her thoughts on this. Thank you.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum, sisters in Islam. With the richness of the paper that was presented by Dr. Hajara and the other sisters who have spoken, I think one can safely say everything has been covered. Honestly, I myself have benefited very, very significantly today from the papers we have had, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward these sisters for what they are doing for Islam. I think the two things that I want to just re-emphasize from what has been said are the elements of education and earning a living. I don't think we can ever overemphasize the importance of education. From what Sister Hajara presented today, I think it is a clear example of what education means and on why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as the Prophet of Islam and Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, have emphasized education, going as far as to say that you should travel whatever distance, even if it is to China, to acquire knowledge. Without knowledge, she would never have been able to give the kind of face she gave Islam today. This is the kind of presentation that will make people who are not Muslims respect Islam. This is the kind of presentation that can uplift the status of Islam anywhere in the world. So my sisters, I lend my voice strongly to the issue of gaining knowledge. If you don't understand Islam, how can you practice it? How can you propagate it? And as has been said, the woman is the pillar of the home. So if you don't have knowledge, what are you going to teach your children? What are you going to teach the community? So I will very, very much align myself to the element of education and re-emphasize it that we must go out and learn more about Islam as well as formal and non-formal means of education. I was privileged to attend the conference organized by women in the Awa in Kebbi sometime last year. And one of the things I took away from that conference was that all the speakers, good, very important, high-standing speakers, the head of Izalatul Bid'ah was there, Mufti Mink was there, other teachers from Bauchi, from Sokoto, from all over Nigeria, the highest were there. And this thing about need for women in particular to acquire knowledge was emphasized and emphasized again and again, because without knowledge you can never achieve anything. And that is knowledge of Islam and also contemporary knowledge, because this sister has demonstrated that you can reach the highest pinnacle of your career practicing Islam and giving a good example of what a Muslim woman can be. They also said if we have women as doctors, in the armed forces, people doing security work that check at the airport, then Muslim women are protected, because you can go and see a Muslim doctor. You don't have to be examined by somebody who is non-Muslim. At the airport, we can have Muslim women checking fellow Muslims, and that way your privacy is protected. So my dear sisters, knowledge is key and it's very important, and I'm very happy and proud of Sister Hajara for what she has demonstrated this morning. The second element, there are many speakers, so I'll be very brief, is the issue of earning a living. It is so fundamental. One of the reasons that Muslims around the world are sometimes looked down upon, particularly women, is that aspect of being too dependent. I can't do anything. I don't have anything. I'm looking for somebody to help me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made every single human being useful, to be useful to the community, to be useful to their homes. There is something you can do and you must do. You must never ever be too dependent or just doing nothing whatsoever. I'm happy that the sisters who discussed the paper also emphasized it. Because if you can do something, you can help your husband, you can help your children, you can help the community. And when you are doing something and you excel in it, like our sisters here that have excelled, there's another doctor on the high table there, you give a very, very proud face to Islam. What women practicing Islam can achieve, can attain, because as they said, Islam is not hindrance to attaining excellence, to attaining the pinnacle of your career, to being very useful to your community and the world at large. So I want to end my remarks by again thanking the Coalition of Nigerian Muslim Women for this very, very important and laudable initiative, and to congratulate the speakers for making us proud and for giving a very, very good perspective of Islam and wearing of hijab. Thank you very much.
Minister of Women Affairs, Hajia Salamatu Suleiman Atakbir. I want to also recognize the presence of our mother, Hajia Amina Gambojaneta, who is seated among us here. Thank you very much for coming. Next, I want to invite the wife of the former governor of Zamfara State, Dr. Karima Sani, to also give us our thoughts on this topic. Atakbir? Atakbir! Are you tired, my sisters?
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Our mother, the wife of the former Vice President, Hajia Amina Namadi Sambo, and all other members of the High Table, distinguished women, Muslims, and our students, our children here present. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Indeed, I always feel humbled and privileged to attend gatherings like this, especially this National Hijab Day celebration, because it's like a Muslim woman, the greatest weakness of most of our Muslim women is hijab. A personal experience I have is that one of my weaknesses is hijab. And before I got married, when I was still a student, I used to pray to God, "Oh Allah, if you are going to give me a husband, give me someone that will make me improve in my deen, someone that will correct me in my greatest weakness." And Allah answered my prayer. My husband was one of the first people that encouraged me, and he was always looking at how I go out and wherever I am, how I portray myself, and so on. And he has encouraged me so much to wear hijab that today I cannot do without a hijab. And I have had a lot of experiences with the hijab. I once was in South Africa for a conference. We were together with the First Lady there, the wife of the head of state, and I was together with one of the wives of the governors from Adamawa State, I think, who is a very strong member of CAN. We were just going around, we just met a woman. This woman was not in hijab, but she ran after me, and she said, because I was wearing my hijab then, and she said, "Please, where did you buy this your cloth? I want to buy it. I want something like this too." I said, "I didn't buy it, I made it." Then she showed me her books that she wants to become a Muslim, but she is learning Arabic and learning the Quran, and she wants a cloth like my own so that she can cover herself. And when I was leaving, because when I was leaving, I washed my hijab, folded it, and gave it to her. And I was never more proud to be a Muslim like that day, because I was in the presence of a CAN member and somebody who was not even a Muslim as at then, was admiring my dressing, and in front of her, I was so proud, and I was happy that, like, it made a ridicule of their own religion at that time, and I'm happy. I will say I must congratulate our guest speaker. She has said it so well, and I'm so happy she said it in front of our children, our students, because at this vulnerable age, they are made to feel like the hijab is something that makes you inferior, or is not fashionable, or you cannot achieve so many things because you are wearing the hijab. You can see today that our guest speaker, she has achieved so much, and the sky is your limit. And one thing I want to also say is that whatever you are doing, whatever form of ibadah you are doing, you should do it with ikhlas. And we should do it in the way our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam directed us or taught us to do it. Once there is ikhlas, we will fight all this problem of having to be stealing when we are putting on a hijab, or going to a place where a hijabi wearer is not supposed to be found. So ikhlas is first and foremost, and doing it the way our Prophet instructed us to do. And I must congratulate the coalition of Muslim women, and we pray for Allah to reward them with Al-Jannat Firdaus, because they are always up and about in propagating Islam in Abuja and in Nigeria as a whole. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum.